Hello everyone. So this video is going to be based on an article that I chose to read. Honestly, I just chose it because the title looked very interesting, and after reading the abstract, I knew I really wanted to read it. It was a very short article, but it had a lot to say, and it was about 9/11. So it's titled "Dispatches: The 9/11 Century," and it has a little quote after saying, "20 years on, how should we think about the worst terrorist attack in American history?" by George Packer. And so while reading this, what I got from it wasn't so much details from 9/11, but how we felt leading up to it and the aftermath all the way up until now. And it was quite interesting because I had never seen someone take such a deep look into this. And I know it sounds kind of obvious because that's always what it sounds like they're talking about with 9/11. But I don't think it is, because it seemed like this person, George Packer, took a very objective look into how people reacted. Because the way he made it seem, and I agree, even though I was very, very young when it happened, I was probably like 5 or 6. So to me, it just seemed like a horrible moment that I knew nothing about. But to put things in perspective, he pretty much said in so many words that America was very isolated in terms of what was going on in the world. And to some extent, that's still true today, but not as much as it was before 9/11. Before then, we had held such a form of peace in terms of where we stood in the world that we almost thought nothing like that could ever happen to Americans. But it did. And what I took from it was that it was almost like a wake-up call. And that's where he starts talking about how controversial the voice of different people was in terms of how they felt on what was going on. He even referenced some writers that talked as if we deserved it, which of course we didn't. There was countless lives that were lost. We had children that were losing their parents, and even a couple kids, or maybe even more, died in that plane crash. They even talked about a toddler who today would be in their 20s, but they lost their life in that horrible, horrible time in American history. And it wasn't that long ago. And so after speaking about how we felt before it happened, then he goes on to say how it impacted the way we thought moving forward. You know, everything from Big Brother starting to watch us more and more to how policies were being implemented to try to prevent things such as that. And we got to such a place where it's almost like it made us paranoid. Now, those aren't the words he used, but it talks about how we handled things moving forward in terms of terroristic threats. And we've gotten a lot better with it because we're more alert. But I think the attention needs to be focused more at home now, because we've gotten to this mind state that we have to watch out for everyone around us, because at that moment we weren't. We were only concerned what was going on in what we quote unquote called our world. But the thing is that our world is much bigger than America, and I think that's what this writer was trying to get to us. And so from that, moving forward, now this writer called attention to, well, the terrorism isn't outside anymore. It's within. He starts referencing white nationalists and pretty much hinting towards the racism that's fueled in America, especially after a president that we've had, such as Donald Trump. They felt like they were given more of a voice. And so now the terroristic threats that we have are within our own borders. And I think that's the scary part about it, because we're not so keen to see that that's what's going on. We're still worried about what's going on across the country, and we should be, but we should also be looking at what's going on at home. And I think that's the message that he was trying to get at towards the end of this article. Thank you for listening, guys.